We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It is Monday. We're starting out another week, a big week. A lot of stuff going to be happening. The debate on Thursday, Supreme Court's going to come down with some decisions this week. So, there's going to be plenty to talk about. Now, I'm recording this on Sunday night, so the week has yet to really start. And we don't have quite as much to talk about. We have some things, trust me on that. In preparation for this week and some things that happened this weekend. So stick with me here. We also have some emails as we normally do. Not a ton of them this time. I caught up on them just last podcast or the podcast before. So we're catching up to things and we're trying to get every email read. But let's start out with the first email that we got for this show. Hi, Mike. At Trump's recent rally in Philly, a Trump supporter in the crowd was asked why he intends to vote for Trump. And I kid you not, this is how he replied. He's real. He keeps it real. He's not fake. There's nothing fake about him. He keeps it real and he pulls no punches. And that's what we need. America punch you right in the face. What the fuck? What a fucking moron. And I agree with you. As you often say, Mike, there's no way to reason with someone who's that far gone. I mean, for fuck's sake, after 7 years of Trump's shit, his 33,000 lies, his obvious stupidity, and his fucking non-fact filled rants, it's really fucking obvious that Trump's the definition of a fucking fake. How the fuck does this fucking moron believe that there is nothing fake about him? And to think that there are millions of idiot fuckheads just like that motherfucking Trumper fuck dipshit. Yeah, what is he fake? Businessman? He's failed at everything he's ever done. Billionaire? I think we proved he's not a billionaire with his taxes and some of these legal proceedings. He is nothing but fake. There is nothing real about Donald Trump. And if you can't recognize that, I agree with you. We're talking about some dumb motherfuckers. He goes on to say, oh, yeah, over the years, I've heard, as we all have, plenty of shit and pure fucking nonsense coming out of his mouths of these fuckhead morons. But when that idiot said there's nothing fake about Trump, well, this time I fucking lost it. For fuck's sake. Blowing off some steam, Jack T. Well, I understand what you're saying, and I understand your need for blowing off some steam. It is absolutely unconscionable. I've said before that if you voted for Donald Trump in 2016, I may give you a pass. He was a loser. We knew a lot of things about him. But since 2016, the 4 years he was president and the 4 years subsequent during the Biden administration, once you've seen what you've seen and heard what you've heard, if you still are willing to support and vote for Donald Trump, you have to be a dumb motherfucker. There's no other explanation for it. I mean, it's pretty clear. And the idea that he's not fake, it's absolutely all fake. Oh, there was election fraud. That was a fake. He didn't know E. Jean Carroll. That was a fake. Everything about him is a fake. He's not a businessman. He's not a billionaire. He's not a fucking politician. He doesn't draw big crowds. He doesn't do any of these things. Everything about him is fake. And I have to concur with you, Jack. Thank you for the email. All right, the next one says, hi, Mike. I came across this issue watching a British podcast program in London. So I did some digging online and found a subject which might interest your followers. I wonder if you had made the same observation. Many are saying that the loss of faith in U.S. government is due to the Senate, especially with the filibuster impact, bestowing more power toward rural areas and away from the big cities where most taxpayers live and needs need addressing. Whilst this is especially relevant in approving SCOTUS appointments and in blocking legislative initiatives pertaining to human needs, the biggest problem in the shift of U.S. legislative power to rural states and anti-democratic trends in power is due to the fixed number of congressional seats since 1910. According to the Constitution, congressional seats must be apportioned to ensure that the congressional districts have the same number of people. Those that are concerned about anti-democratic trends must publicize the need to at least double and possibly triple the number of congressional districts so that no congressional district has more people than in 1940. In 1910, there were around 200,000 people per district. Yes, the cost of increasing the number of districts will have a big impact on the cost of government, but so does the military industrial complex, the prison industrial complex, Big Pharma, Citizens United, 501c3 corporations, and other factors. Spending by Congress needs to bring representation in line with taxation. Over the past 100 years, U.S. citizens have been increasingly deprived of what brought about the birth of the nation in the first place. No taxation without representation. An expanded Congress would ensure the proper control and prioritization of expenditures, including the cost of more congressmen and women, is exercised. Now, in these times when the suppression of democracy has become an existential threat with the USA and a significant factor in global trend, it is time for the free press to draw voter attention to the need to rectify the creeping injustice that had almost no focus or public outcry for decades. This issue needs to be exposed and debated before the November 2024 election, and the position of both presidential candidates needs to be declared. Blue states are paying a much higher proportion of the federal budgets and are therefore giving a free ride to red states. No wonder neither the Senate or the House, and increasingly the Supreme Court, are failing to highlight the constitutional injustice that continues. View the statistics below. Your thoughts. And I didn't get the name on that one. Oh, Jesus. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, yeah, I agree with what you're saying completely. I mean, this whole thing has, whether we're talking about SCOTUS or we're talking about Congress, we are behind the times. We haven't grown our government in the same way we've grown our country and our population. Based on population and number of circuits in the judicial system, we need 13 Supreme Court justices. That's just the way they do it, and they've never bothered to try to fix that. And in Congress, much the same. We do need better representation, more districts, and more people represented. You're absolutely right that one of the reasons our forefathers left Europe or left England was because they were being taxed without representation. Well, now we do have representation, but the question is everybody being represented equally? And if not, we have to do that expansion. And I know you said, well, it's going to cost a lot of money. Well, whatever it fucking takes. If we aren't in a situation to run our government properly, it doesn't matter how much money it takes. We've got to do it. We waste a lot of money on tax credits to rich folks, to the Defense Department, to prison systems, all this stuff. We got to fix the government. And as I've said before, you're talking about we need to address this topic and have each nominee express their opinion. That's not going to happen. We're getting too close to the election. This isn't as important to the nominees as it is to the country at large. They aren't going to talk about it, but it is something we have to press for once the Democrats get control of the House, the Senate, and the Oval Office. As I've said many times before, when Donald Trump loses, the House goes to the Democrats and the Senate stays with the Democrats. We aren't even nearly done. We're not close because the Republicans have left this country and our government a fucking shambles. Now we have to go back into rehabilitation mode. It's like when a hurricane hits a city. Hurricane's done, government sends money. Okay, we're saved. Everything's better now. No, because you got to rebuild it. And that's exactly what we have to do with our government. We've gone too long and just let things ride. Let the government police itself, let them make their own decisions or not do certain things. So we've gotten way out of alignment, way out of whack, and we've got to bring it back. And the only people that are going to push to bring it back are we the people. Government's not going to do it. They don't care. They like the free ride they've got going on now. So this is why when people say to me, "What are you going to do if Joe Biden wins and the Democrats win the House and this and they win the Senate?" You got nothing to talk about. Bullshit. We got plenty to talk about. We've got a nation that is behind the times and fucked up in many ways. We got to start the rebuilding phase and start to get things back to normal. That's what we need to do. And I couldn't agree with you more. All right. The next one comes from the Z Man, and the Z Man um, put this on the podcast page as just a comment. He says it's getting interesting. I think the court is aware that their arrogance is going to paint themselves into a corner. I do think they'll pull some stupid crap on immunity. It will be their undoing. Well, I hope not. I hope they don't make it any more confusing than they already have. They've really shit the bed in this case, and they put themselves in a bad situation. And I think finally the Supreme Court is feeling the after effects of making bad decisions. As I said earlier, this is a big week for the Supreme Court. They've got some decisions coming down. I believe they have through the first week of July. When the decision on the immunity case comes out, I don't know when that's going to be, but they better do that right because that's going to cause some outrage if they don't. The interesting thing, though, that I've found with the Supreme Court, we know there's a lot of dissension in the Supreme Court between conservatives and liberals. You'd expect that, especially with the shit that's going on. But we're also seeing some dissension within the conservative caucus within the Supreme Court. They're fighting amongst themselves, much like the Republicans at large are doing. And the question is, why are they fighting amongst themselves? And I think they figured this out a little late, but they finally figured this out. You've got two main guys, Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito, kind of going rogue, kind of tearing up the hotel room before it's all said and done. They're willing to make a mess of it. Now, for a long time, the Republicans, other Republicans in the Supreme Court have just gone along with it because they go along to get along. But I think they're finally getting a realization of what's truly going on. Clarence Thomas and Judge Alito or Justice Alito don't really care if the court has a bad image, whether they're considered to be credible or not. They're on the verge of retiring, and they've said they only want to retire if Donald Trump wins. They want the Republicans in control so their seats are replaced by other Republicans. Well, we know that's not going to happen. We know Donald Trump has little, if any, chance at all of winning the presidency. Yet these guys are in their 70s and they've got some problems with their credibility and integrity. So I'm thinking that some of the other conservatives in the Supreme Court are looking at this and going, fuck. These two are going to fuck us over, then retire and leave us hanging in the lurch. And that's probably true. And this is probably why we're seeing the dissension in the Supreme Court amongst the conservatives. They see what Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito is doing. And they see that all they have to do is drop their robes and walk away. At least that's what they believe. And they're going to be stuck with a Supreme Court that is not well thought of, has no credibility, has no integrity. And these guys are going to leave them hanging out to dry. And this is why we're seeing some dissension among the Republicans or the conservatives in the Supreme Court. So this is a tough situation for the Supreme Court. How are they going to continue? How are the conservatives going to try to unify and get along? And if they can't, how are they going to get anything done? It's going to be a lot like Congress. You have the Democrats or the liberals, and you have the conservatives, but you don't have all the conservatives. Now, the conservatives that don't like the crazy conservatives aren't necessarily going to vote with the liberals. So, what are they going to do? We're going to get a Supreme Court ultimately, if everything stays as normal, where nothing will get done. And that's essentially what we've got in Congress right now. We've got basically gridlock there because nobody can agree on anything. There is no negotiation. There is no compromise. And we're seeing that in the Supreme Court. But I'm thinking the younger Supreme Court justices seeing they could be fucked because they finally realize and have read the writing on the wall. They know Donald Trump's not going to win. They know the Democrats are likely to take over the House in a big way. They know that the Democrats will probably maintain the majority in the Senate. And when that happens, there's going to be a new sheriff in town for the Supreme Court, and they're going to come knocking at the door, and they're going to want to make some motherfucking changes. They see that. Clarence Thomas and Judge Alito don't care because they'll just retire. Now, I wonder how this will all shake out. Joe Biden will win the presidential election. Now, Clarence Thomas and Justice Alito won't want to retire then because they'll be replaced by Democrats. So what will they do? They're going to ride it out for another 4 years? I don't know if they have it in them. What I would like to see done is maybe somebody go to these clowns because these people have not only done things that were that lack credibility. Some of the things they've done have been legitimately illegal. And it wouldn't surprise me. I would do this if I was in Congress. I'd go to them and say, listen, Joe Biden's the president. We have the House and the Senate. You guys are fuck ups. So we're coming after you. Or here's another option for you. The DOJ is also looking to indict you. It doesn't matter that you're a Supreme Court justice. You don't get to break the law either. Tell you what, we'll let you retire and fade off into obscurity if you do it now. If you don't, we're going to fucking indict you. And they should do this right after the election. No fucking around, no waiting, no bullshit. Get that done as soon as possible. Now, some people will say to me, yeah, well, you don't want to let them off the hook legally. Listen, man, they're in their 70s. They are fucking criminals, no question. There is more value in getting 2 seats to the Democratic Party or the liberals in the Supreme Court than there is putting them in jail. It's better to put some pressure on them, try to leverage them, and get those 2 out. Because guess what the split is when you get those 2 out? 5-4 liberals. So I don't know if that will happen, but that seems to be the common sense thing, assuming they can come up with legitimate indictments. That would be enough to retire and fade away and not ruin their legacy. I mean, their legacy is ruined anyway, but in their minds, they think they're fucking geniuses. Supreme Court's going to have a lot of big decisions this week. We're going to be hearing a lot of things that are going to be interesting. And I do think some of the Republicans or the conservatives in the Supreme Court are seeing what's happening and they're getting fucking nervous. All right. Got the debate this week. This is going to be very interesting. Donald Trump is talking about every possible way he can have an excuse or talk his way out of doing this debate, even though he's the one that called for it. He's telling everybody that he may lose on purpose or Joe Biden's on drugs. He's already saying that this is a fake debate and the debate is rigged. Again, he called for the debate. He's the one that asked for it. And now he's saying it's rigged. These are all just setting putting the seeds in the ground for excuses, because that's what Donald Trump does. He won't be able to say, well, I lost the debate. He'll say, I lost the debate because, or, or because everybody's out to get me, or like I said the other day, yesterday, um, one emailer suggested his excuse would be, well, they didn't take the gag order off. So if I don't have the gag order off, I can't even debate, which is bullshit. But that's the excuse he might use. So we'll see how that all pans out. Now, I wanted to talk about something else that Donald Trump loves to rant about: how popular he is, the kind of crowds he pulls in. Claims to have gotten 100,000 people into New Jersey, which was not true. That he got 20 or 30,000 people in the Bronx in New York, which was not true. And then recently, a day or two ago, he had this rally in Pennsylvania, in an auditorium, a college auditorium or stadium. I don't know what it was. Whatever it was, it held a capacity of 10,200 people. Now, what people haven't been talking about is that Joe Biden also did a rally or a speech there prior to Donald Trump. Joe Biden legitimately sold out all the seats in that particular rally. He sold out 10,200 seats. Donald Trump, on the other hand, sold maybe anywhere from 4 to 5,000. In fact, the entire bowl in the upper level was empty, not a soul there, and the bottom bowl wasn't completely full. Donald Trump will still tell you that he's got all the people coming to his rallies, and he'll get the Trumplafucks to say the same thing, but it's a flat out lie. You can talk about polls, you can talk about fundraising, but when Donald Trump gets only half a capacity or less to come to his rallies, that certainly is a red flag. Without question, a red fucking flag. I keep getting people that happened today, people saying, I don't know, I think Donald Trump will win. And I always say, please tell me what are the facts and what is the data that tells you that? And nobody can ever tell me. All they say is, I just got this feeling. Well, I don't give a fuck about your feeling. The facts are the facts. And if you can't take your emotions out of it, maybe you shouldn't talk about it, because you're not helping the effort, and you're absolutely wrong. I'm convinced that people will try to look negatively on anything just so they can feel relieved and happy when they're proven wrong. I take no joy in being wrong. I have been wrong and I will be wrong, and I'm willing to own up to it. But I'm not going to just say something because I'm always disappointed about I don't get what I want when I want it. Fuck that. Look at the facts. If you can look at the facts and tell me that Joe Biden isn't going to win, I'd love to hear it. If you can give me facts or data that tells you that Donald Trump is going to win, I'd love to see that. But nobody up to this point has been able to show anything of that nature. Now, the debate on Thursday is going to be interesting. There was one other person that wanted to be on the stage. His name is Robert F. Kennedy Jr., but he didn't get an invite to the stage. Um, he didn't qualify under the rules of CNN. He wasn't on enough ballots throughout the country in terms of states. So now he's whining and crying about it, as you might imagine. And he even went so far as saying, I'm going to make sure that Jake Tapper and Dana Bash are put in jail. Really? How are you going to do that? You've got a private company deciding to put on a debate. They made the rules, and it's their company, so they can make the rules. And now you're telling us they're unfair. You didn't qualify, and you're not going to be on. And this particular event was very important to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. As much as people have been worried about RFK Jr. taking away votes from Joe Biden or being a problem in the election. I've always said, listen, I'm not even sure that Robert F. Kennedy will be on the ballot in November. And here's why. He's clearly having some serious money problems. The only reason he has any money at all right now is because he got a vice president nominee that has a lot of money, and she put what 10 or 20 million dollars into his campaign. Without that, as I've said before, he'd be in debt right now. The money's not flowing in. He does not have the support. People don't give a fuck. And as I've told you before, if he was a third party candidate, and I'm not convinced he has a prayer of doing that, if he was a third party candidate, he's not going to take votes away from Joe Biden. He's an anti vaxxer, a conspiracy theorist, and just a fucking crazy motherfucker. The only people that would vote for RFK Jr. are the people that can't quite stomach Donald Trump anymore. And we're hearing more and more about Republicans saying, yeah, I don't think I'm going to vote for him. So they need an alternative. They can either not vote or make an alternative. Since RFK Jr. has a bit of a pedigree, because he has some publicity, and because he's speaking their language, they're more likely to go with him. Think about the Democrats. Are they going to go with an anti vaxxer? Are they going to go with a conspiracy theorist? I don't think so. I'm not worried about RFK being on the ballot in November. I'm just not. I'm not exactly sure he's going to be there. I just don't think he will. I don't think he has enough support, and eventually he'll fade away and die on the vine. Now, when I started doing Rational Boomer on TikTok and then on the podcast, I did it for two reasons. Everything changes as you continue to do things. The way I do it, the way I sound is probably different from the first day I did it. You evolve, I guess. But the two reasons I did it is, first of all, I wanted to light a fire under the butts of old people like me and you. I wanted them to be informed. I wanted them to get involved. I wanted them to be concerned, and I wanted them to um, feel a motivation to get out and vote. Now, here's the thing about we old people. And let's talk about baby boomers specifically. When you get to a certain age, like say 64, like me, the younger people, say the millennials, even the Gen Zs, they will naturally tell the old people, step aside. We're taking control. We're going to lead the pack. You had your time. Why don't you step aside? And they discount and discredit the older people. Now, I'm not begrudging them that, because we did it to our folks, and our folks did it to their folks, and their folks did it to their folks. So this is kind of a rite of passage. This is what happens. But here's what I don't think the millennials understand, and I don't think the vast majority of people in this country understand. As much as we are old and on the way out, we have as many baby boomers in this country as there are millennials. We're talking 75 million baby boomers and roughly 75 million millennials. So, as boomers, while we may want to, maybe they want to push us aside, we're pretty powerful. We're very powerful. We're quite a large voting bloc. We can make a difference. And by doing what we're doing with the Rational Boomer situation, I'm trying to, and you're trying to, motivate people to think the right way and use the power that we have. Not only do we have as many voters, but we have more money than millennials, much to the chagrin of millennials. But the facts are the facts, and that's what we have. Now, a lot of people will come to me and say, sure, there's a lot of baby boomers, but they're all voting for Donald Trump, which is not true. Absolutely not true. Look at how many followers I have on TikTok. It's 340,000 people roughly. None of those motherfuckers are going to vote for Donald Trump, because I've canceled and blocked all the Trump-la-fucks. That's quite a number of folks. Not enough to win an election necessarily, But there are other people on TikTok and in podcasts that are doing the same things I'm doing, David Pakman, whatever. And these guys have millions and millions of followers. Don't suggest that the baby boomers don't have the power to affect an election and don't and they're not willing to vote for Joe Biden. There was a poll out, and you and I don't like polls, but this was an interesting poll. There was a poll taken of people 65 years old and older. Now I'm 64, but I'm close. But everybody over 65 is going to be a baby boomer. And remember what I told you, 75 million of them. There was a poll taken, Donald Trump versus Joe Biden. And you know how that panned out? Joe Biden beat Donald Trump amongst all the baby boomers by 15%. Maybe there are a lot that would vote for Donald Trump, but there's 15% more boomers that will vote for Joe Biden. That's substantial. That is substantial. And it goes back to what I've said. While we're in our golden years and while we're getting pushed aside by the younger folks as they do, we do have a lot of power. We have a lot of money, we have a lot of power, and 15% lead on Donald Trump. So don't let anybody tell you what you're doing doesn't matter, because it does absolutely fucking matter. And we're going to do this, and we're going to show some folks. All of us that are of a certain age are doing this for one reason. We want to leave a better place for our kids and grandkids. All of us old people, whether we're on pensions or Social Security or 401ks, no matter who got to be president, our lives aren't going to change much. We have maybe 20, 25 years left of life. We'll get through it just fine. We won't have a problem. But when we're gone, there's going to be a lot of shit going on if Donald Trump gets elected. And these millennials and these Gen Zs are going to have to pay the price. They bitch and whine about how boomers did whatever they were supposed to do, and they're complaining about it. But the fact of the matter is that the boomers did a lot of good things too. They seem to forget that. Um, they might grouse at Joe Biden. Well, I don't like Joe Biden. I've said this before. I'll say it again. If you're a millennial or a Gen Z and you don't like Joe Biden, you have to understand the rules of the game. First of all, you don't get everything you want every fucking time as quickly as you want. Sometimes you have to follow a process. Like, say you want to be a CEO of the country or of a company. You can't just start a job as a CEO. You got to start in the mailroom, work your way up to the warehouse, and so forth. You got to go through the process. And while you're in the process, there's going to be some things you have to hold your nose for or hate doing. But if you're determined, you can get there. And that's exactly the situation with Joe Biden and Donald Trump. If you vote for Joe Biden, and even if you don't like Joe Biden, at least Joe Biden will get you to the point where you'll be able to get what you want. Get Joe Biden in 2024, deal with whatever you have to deal with, and then in 2028, it's time millennials and Gen Z step up and start taking control of this country. I'm getting fucking tired. You're getting tired. We need you to take the first step. We can't be like the standard millennials still living with their folks or coming back. And I'm not giving people shit about that. The circumstances make it necessary, but at some point you got to take control of this country. You got to take responsibility, and you have to be accountable for your decisions. If you want to get there, you vote for Joe Biden. You vote for Donald Trump, guess what? You may never get there. You may never have the opportunity to get what you want, because Donald Trump is going to break the system, and he's going to take away a lot of rights from you. So you can vote for Donald Trump and get nothing. Or you can vote for Joe Biden and struggle through what you don't like for a little bit, but then you'll get your chance to run this country the way you see fit, and then be responsible and accountable for those things you've wrought. For better or for worse, it's going to be on you. But you got to get to the point where you can be there where you get the things you're looking for. All right. We are going to take a quick break on the Rational Boomer podcast, and we will be right back.